Prokaryotes, we have the LIBERIA. Kingdom Protista. Pro, like I said for the prokaryotes, means before. So Kingdom Protista is believed to have existed before plants and animals. That is, they evolved before plants and animals came. So they are also primitive. That's the meaning. They are eukaryotes. That is, they have the true cell. They have true nucleus and nuclear membrane. They have the true nucleus, then the nuclear membrane. Then they possess membrane-bounded organelles. They have membrane-bounded organelles like chloroplast. Chloroplast is an example of membrane-bounded organelle. The vacuoles, the lysosome, the ribosome. Those are examples of membrane-bounded organelles. Then the group of organisms in this kingdom, they are also microscopic. That is, you cannot see them with your naked eyes, and they are aquatic. You find them in water. They live in water. Then they are unicellular. They have just a single cell. With that single cell, they perform all their various functions. Another characteristic is that they do not have specialized tissues and organs. Since they are single cell, there is nothing they are doing with tissue or organs. So they do not have specialized tissue or organs. It's their single cell that performs all their functions. And examples of organisms in this kingdom Protista, is the protozoa and the diatoms. The protozoa and the diatoms. So let's look at them in details. Protozoa. The protozoa, the phylum is the protozoa, and they are first animal. You know, everyone, all of them are having pro. When you hear pro, just let your mind reflect to first. Prokaryotes, Protista, Protozoa. So they are first. So they are the first set of animals. They are also microscopic, and they have a single cell. They are microscopic and they have a single cell. Some of them form colonies of many similar individuals. That is, many similar individuals come together and just form a kind of single organism. Then they are eukaryotes. That is, they have the true cell with distinct nucleus, which can be single or multiple. Their nucleus can be one or more. Then this particular group of organisms are capable of locomotion. I mentioned locomotion as a part of the characteristics of living organism. That is, they move. They have locomotory organelles. That is, they have locomotory organs. But now they are called organelles because they are not organs. So, example of such locomotory organelles, we have the flagella, the cilia, the pseudopodia. So, those are the examples of locomotory organelles that these organisms possess. Then they may be parasites, living on other organisms in detriment. They may be commensals. They may be symbionts. Symbionts, they live together, benefiting, not hurting the other. The organism that are living on benefiting from them, they are also benefiting. So it's a mutual. They can live like that, or they can hurt the organism they are living on. Then they are largely aquatic. They are found in water. Then their nutrition now. Nutrition can be holozoic or saprophytic, saprozoic or autotrophic. Holozoic, that is, they manufacture their food on their own, like a sub manufacturing their food on their own. Saprophytic, living completely on dead material. Saprozoic, partially living on dead material. That's the saprozoic. Then autotrophic, they manufacture their food on their own. And then, according to their locomotory organelles, we have several organisms in this group, but they have different locomotory organelles. I mentioned flagella, I mentioned cilia and pseudopodia. So, according to the locomotory organelles that they are classified into groups. We have the rhizopoda. The rhizopoda make use of the pseudopodia. That is the false leg. And an example of organism in that rhizopoda is amoeba. Look at this. This is the diagram of amoeba. You can see it. It has pseudopodia. That's the locomotory organelle by which it moves. So that's a typical diagram of an amoeba. Then the masticophora. they use flagella. They use flagella to move. An example of organism in this class is the Iglina viridis. The Iglina viridis. Then we have volvus. Then trypanosoma. Trypanosoma is the organism that causes sleeping sickness, trypanosomiasis. So that's an example of organism in the class Mastigophora. Then another class is the Ciliophora. Ciliophora, they use flagella in this class. They also use cilia. And the organism that use flagella in this class is a paramecium. Paramecium. Then cilia or palina is an example of organism that use cilia in this group. Then the last group then is Sporozoa. That's the class Sporozoa. This class, they are parasitic. That is, they live on another organism to its detriment, and they don't have any external locomotory organ. And an example is the Plasmodium. Now, this is the structure of a Iglina, and you can see the various organelles. You see the flagellum, the stigma, the reservoir, the nucleus, the nucleolus, the chloroplast, the pellicle, and the contractile vacuole. So this is a typical structure of an Iglina viridis. But in considering that structure, we discover that it has both animal and plant characteristics. So we want to examine the function of those organelles. So we want to consider the plant characteristics of Iglina. First, it has chloroplast. The chloroplast helps it to manufacture its food by itself in the presence of sunlight in a process called photosynthesis. So Iglina is able to go through the autotrophic nutrition by the help of the chloroplast. Then also, it has a paramyelin granule for carbohydrate storage, so it can store carbohydrate, and that's a characteristic of plant. They can store carbohydrates in the paramyelin glands. Then it also undergoes the holophytic nutrition. Now, the animal characteristics of Iglina, the flagellum, that's a long, you can see the diagram at the base of the board, the long whip-like structure, that long, so it moves like this. By the time it swings it moves. By the time it whips it again, it moves. So the flagellum is used for its movement. Then the eye spot, it has eye spot, that stigma, it helps it to respond to light conditions. So that makes it have that's an animal character. Then the pellicle, that's the elastic covering for the body's flexibility. It also has a contractile vacuole, that's the exclusive organ by which it takes out every unwanted food material. It also has the gullet by which it takes food in. So that's the animal characteristics of the Iglina. Now we go to diatoms, and it is in the phylum Chrysophyta. Diatom is a one-cell microscopic golden algae occurring in colonies, or it occurs singly. You can see the diagram, it occurs singly or in colony. Then it is mostly aquatic, that is, the habitat is in water. It is found mostly in water. Then they have different shapes. You can look at the diagram here. You see the different shapes. One is like slippers, you have the rod-like, you have the boat shape, circular. So they have different shapes. It's not restricted to a particular shape. Then they reproduce asexually by cell division and sexually by conjugation of gametes. From the various characteristics we've been describing since, it's on this that we have an organism manifesting the two reproduction. We have the asexual, they go through asexual cell division, then they also go through the sexual cell division by conjugation of the gametes. Now we come to the third kingdom, that's the kingdom fungus. They are the non-green plants, so they lack chlorophyll. The members of this group, the fungus, they lack chlorophyll, so they are the non-green plants. Then they are mostly saprophytic, that is, they live majorly on dead organisms. Though some are parasites, some live on another on the host and destroy the host, live on the host to its own detriment. Then they have no true roots or stem or leaf, but they have hyphae or a group of hyphae called mycelium. They are thread-like structure, and hyphae is a thread-like structure by which it performs the function of root, stem, and leaf. So that is the structure that these organisms have. They are called hyphae, and a group of hyphae is called the mycelium. Then the cell wall is made up of chitin. The cell wall of the organisms in this group is made up of chitin. Then they store their carbohydrates as glycogen. They store their carbohydrates as glycogen, unlike other organisms that store theirs as starch. Then they reproduce asexually by means of spores. So they have spores, they produce spores. So that is how they reproduce asexually, and sexually by the fusion of the nuclei. That's the plural of the nucleus. So the nucleus fuse together, that's the sexual reproduction, while asexually they reproduce by means of spores. Now, we also classify organisms in the kingdom. This is kingdom. It comes to phylum, then it comes to class, based on the type of spores that they have, and they are grouped into 4 classes: the Phycomycetes, the Ascomycetes, Basidiomycetes, and Deuteromycetes. So, and these names come from the type of spores that they produce. The first one, the Phycomycetes, their spores are produced in sporangium. So that is why they are called Phycomycetes. Then the Ascomycetes, asco means sac. So they are formed in a sac-like structure called asci. So that is why they are called Ascomycetes. Mycetes suggests fungi. That's the group, the fungi. So the asco is the type of the spore. Then the Basidiomycetes.